And don't get me started on the weather, Savage Speeder. I don't think you'll ever stop me on the weather, because I'm all about that weather, you know? Looking for small talk? I'm your guy. I will talk your ear off at length about any given subject. Sure, I might ramble incoherently the large majority of the time, but by gosh, will I not shut up. It's a gift, really. The one superpower I have, gift of the gab, and it's not even that great of a gift. Again, I mostly just say whatever comes to mind without thinking about the repercussions, how interesting it is as a subject, or whether it's at all humorous, and instead I just spew. I projectile vomit my words across space and time, and just see what happens. Just let the pieces fall where they may. Somehow it's kind of working out for me. Just horribly trying to derail the conversation again. Do your best. It just starts me on more tangents. I'm the god of tangents. Whether the weather is hot or whether the weather is cold, well, whether the weather, whatever the weather, whether it's hot or cold. This we know to be true. It's very similar, it gets one thinking about the fact of, like how much wood would a woodchuck could chuck wood. Because you'd think that a woodchuck would chuck as much wood as a woodchuck could chuck if a woodchuck could chuck wood. But woodchuck, I'm trying to make up a third one on my own, and I kind of flailed around there. The call and response, that's easy. Can I make up a third one? A woodchuck, no, that's a woodchuck as much wood as a woodchuck could chuck if woodchuck could chuck wood. Now I'm just copying someone else's homework. That's not even an original thought. Turns out, making new tongue twisters, harder than you think. At least live on Twitch. Also, maybe not that hard, and I'm just flailing around like a fool for no reason whatsoever, but I like to blame others. It's not me that's out of touch, it's the children who are wrong. Looks like a boulder beetle and you hate it, but it's a much cuter one, though it is a boulder beetle, actually. That follows the principle of all things that are round in a shell, and even just animals, are just the same thing at the end of the day. You will prevail in the derailing, maybe. One day, but not today. Do your worst. And not making original content is where the limit is. Miss me with that. Yeah, why am I even bothering? Original content? What am I, some kind of loser? Everyone should just copy the other people, and that's how you get big. That sentence needed an end before I got there, but sometimes they can't all be hits. And you miss 100% of the shots that suck. You know what I mean? I'm pretty sure that Wayne Gretzky always was going on about that. Earth is flat and water is dry. Come at ya. It's all about tossing your pins out there and seeing who bites, seeing what kind of things you can get. Cocktail, you play an Abyss Night sometime and spec up invocations. It's very satisfying to find something you hate, like boulder beetles, and just press the no button on them. That is true. Banishing things is one of the sweetest pleasures in life. But let's see what team names we have available to us this round. We have Hard, Golden, and Spotted, Scallywags, Pretenders, and Gears. So, the rule of alliteration states that no man shall go without a team name that states Golden Gears or Spotted Scallywags. And so I feel like we live up to tradition on this fine Wednesday evening. And let's go with some Spotted Scallywags. Shout out to all the pirates and doctors and all the doctor pirates out there. Yeah, dang scallywags. How does that work? You're curious? I think it costs piety, but you can banish things to the abyss. I can't remember if it's a will check or not. It feels like it might be a will check, so you'd have to keep that in mind. Because a will check as much will as a will check could check. If a will check could check will, you know? And Savage, could you get me in a Discord call sometime? Potentially. Unfortunately, it's a bad time for me where I'm pretty busy with the brand new job, but I don't know. I've also been meaning, like, Dr. Pirate reached out to me a long while back and very graciously offered to chat me through some of the ins and outs of web development, but I'm a garbage person when it comes to scheduling and actually following through with things. If you're looking for the flakiest individual on earth, well, just call me Tony the Tiger, because I am flaky as all hell. You've hardcore been playing DCSS every day, all day until you sleep. Sounds like a good days for sure. Good week. You have banishment god ability. Exactly. Versus their willpower. It is versus their willpower. Nice. Your best 2 runs have ended because you got banished to the abyss. So yeah, it'd be a sweet little bit of revenge, of vengeance for your poor characters if you can instead play that Uno reverse card and send them deep into the abyss there. Can chat me through the basic memes of not letting people die. I mean, I'm always into learning about how to prevent people from dying. I think that that's a useful vocation for anyone in life. I need to re-up my first aid. It's been too long. I feel like things that I learned in first aid are probably now just 100% illegal. At the very least, I got into first aid. The last time I did first aid was right at the cusp of where they were starting to get rid of. Well, they were stopping to use the word Heimlich, but I think they still used it and just called it the J stroke because Heimlich got mad that the Heimlich family got mad that too many people were blaming them for broken ribs. Because if you haven't taken first aid before, kids, if you need to Heimlich slash J stroke someone, you're gonna break some ribs. It's gonna be painful and brutal. And in fact, if you weren't aware, the most terrifying part, if you're alone, you have first aid training, and you find that you start choking on something. Do you know how you give yourself a Heimlich? You come out, you find a nice edge like this, and you just boom right there. Just slam yourself, break your ribs, and that's all you can do. I mean, it makes sense. You're alone. You don't want to choke and die alone. That's a horrible way to go, I've heard. But geez, Louise, it's a bit of a toss-up. What is worse? Self CPR, where you're just slamming down on a hard-edged object, or the flip side of that is performing CPR on babies. Because the messed up part there is you got a baby, you know, a little bit of like baby fat on them. They're about that wide, rib to back. You use your fingers to push down on them. This is just for CPR. This isn't even Heimlich. This is for CPR. You're pushing down in the proper spot. You have to go something like 2/3 of the way through their body. I mean, I know that their bones aren't fully formed, so it's not quite the same as crushing a human's ribs, though, to be fair, CPR also breaks ribs. So how about that? Most ways of saving lives apparently comes down to breaking some ribs, but you have to put your fingers 2/3 of the way through a baby's chest cavity. And that seems like a terrifying prospect to me because I'd be so concerned about murdering this tiny, precious life in my hands. But hey, you're trying to save a life, so I guess it's worth it. And it is, don't get me wrong. I shouldn't say that sarcastically because 100% save that baby's life. But geez Louise. If you've ever CPR'd an old person, it sounds like twigs breaking when you give CPR. You've broken so many ribs, right? 100% CPR is, I mean, it's worth it because again, life is on the line, but it is brutal. I'm speaking like breaking ribs is a downside. You know, you might be onto something there. That's the optimist speaking in you, Colgate. You get to live, you get to survive. Plus, you get to break ribs. It's a win-win for everyone involved. Your ribs hurt daily. If Cocktail has to give you the Heimlich, you probably wouldn't feel a difference or care. Hey, that's a certain kind of optimism too. It's a silver lining at the very least. Well, I'll keep that in mind if I ever see choking out in public. It's really traumatic. I'm sure it is. Oh gosh, I can't imagine. Again, I make light of it for content because, that's kind of what I'm doing here, but geez Louise, do I not want to actually think about the ramifications? So much worse. Instead, I just laugh it off. Isn't that a goof, a gab? Hilarious. You know what? We don't take marmosets here. I'm sorry. I love my small primates. Don't get me wrong. You're a cutie, bit of a ringtail. You got almost a lemur aesthetic to you, but I mean, you're no capuchin to start off. You're not quite gonna be a complete ass, which is what I hear most capuchins are just horribly rude. It comes from being intelligent, I feel. If you're that smart, but you're also stuck being a tiny monkey, you gotta make it count, you know? And hey, green knight. Hope my new job is going splendidly. That it is. We're into week 2 now. Somehow, they haven't fired me yet. So I'd say that's about as good as it gets. But no, in all seriousness, it is going absolutely fantastic. I love actually working on a project that will one day be out there, and I can like show it off to all my friends and family and gloat about how like I did barely any of it, but I technically did some of it. Look, it's all me, baby. Take credit for everyone's work. You have a crazy high pain tolerance. That's good. I feel like I don't know where I land anymore. When I was a kid, I had a terrible pain tolerance. Like I would, at the drop of a hat, complain about pain, just break out bawling. It got to the point where a childhood friend of mine who'd known me for many, many years, we were biking out together and I fell down a really steep hill. My bike lost control and I skidded across the concrete road at the bottom, and I blasted open my elbow. I don't know how well the camera, actually not in that lighting, but right on either side here I have deep scars. And so I fell down, I scraped myself up. I picked up my bike and started walking because my friend had gone ahead, and he turned around and rode back, and he was like, "Oh gosh, are you okay? Are you okay?" And I was like, "Yeah, let's go." And he looked at me. He was like, "Wow, you've changed." It's like, "Oh," because normally I'd probably be quite the little bee about it, but somewhere along the line I gained some level of pain tolerance, and then now I'm probably back down to almost zero because I don't get hurt very often. I have good pain tolerance for scratches and bruises because I like to do a lot of work with my hands. I mean, I love carpentry, so that's a lot of slivers, minor cuts, oftentimes, yeah, abrasions of all sorts and flavors. But I haven't had to deal with serious pain in a long, long time, so I have no idea how to handle it. They were dying anyway. If you manage to kill them accidentally, you shorten their life by like a few minutes at worst. That is true. It's morbid, but it is true. He's going to bed, 1:45, past his bedtime. No, that's fair enough. Have a great night if you are cocktail. Um, of course, always happy to have you around if you are staying, but if not, then have a fantastic night. Definitely want you well rested when you're out there saving lives, being an actual hero instead of me just calling myself a hero for the jokes, the lulls, and the memes. You can do 2 triples, you basically won, right? Sounds good to me. Anything that we can move those goalposts, shorten that hurdle, and if I can just, like step over the high jump and call it a day, give me my gold medal, heck yeah. That's what we're all about. In fact, miss me with that gold medal. Give me a participation one, please. And thank you. 5:18, past your bedtime. I was thinking about that just about like an hour ago in the stream here at Colgate, that Finland is, what is it, like 10 hours ahead of my time? Might even be 11 hours ahead of my time. Is that right? What's your UTC number? It's like, because my guess here, do I even remember mine? Is it daylight savings? Oh gosh, I hate daylight savings. It messes me up. Normally we're like -7. That's like mountain time. So I would guess that Finland would be like +3, +4, +3. Nice. Okay. Kind of there. I don't know geography that well. I know where Finland is, obviously, because I've always wanted to go throughout all of the Nordic countries, or like Northern European countries. One day we will. Who lives in mountain time? I live in mountain time. Who lives mountain time? I live. CSD, come on. Oh, are we going to make it competition? The battle of the time zones? Only one can leave standing? You have to get up at 5:30 a.m., cocktail? Go to bed. Even if you're not that old, go to bed, you mad person. I'm tired just thinking about that. I mean, I'm ending my stream earlier than usual just because I'm a sleepy old man myself. But let's see here. It's like 5 a.m. now. That's wild, Colgate. Well, thank you for spending the majority of your night with me. That sounds like me during COVID quarantine. It wasn't until I landed this job that I started fixing my sleep schedule, and I did not do a good job. The week before I started work, every night was like, this is my last week of not waking up early. I can't go to bed. I have to make the most of it. And so I just ended up staying up until 4 or 5 every single night. And it was on like the Sunday before work that I was laying in bed at 10 p.m. just thinking, I have to get to sleep. I have to get to sleep. But I was up to 5 last night and I slept in until 10. So I'm just a ball of energy. Plus, I'm nervous and anxious for work. It was not a good mix. I like to tell myself I'm slowly but surely recovering my sleep schedule, but it's not true. I'm not really. Right? You're like 20 years older than me. Maybe in terms of physical life on this planet, even though not, because I am, again, an immortal god king living amongst human beings. I have lived for thousands of years and I will live for thousands more. But ignoring that, you might be right. But I am emotionally, mentally, in many ways physically, about 20 years older than I am. So it makes sense why we get along. 10 minutes to 5:30 a.m. Oh, that's just a dream of the past for me. It's okay, you're older, you're the lord of the birds, you're a dinosaur. Wait a second, but dinosaurs don't exist. Your bones were just put there by the devil to trick us. So, aha, checkmate, cockatiel. You don't exist, is what we've boiled this down to. Case closed. Solved, thank you very much. Hold the applause. Why did I roll the bird away? Could have gotten triple. So with the ducks, they gain their benefit from selling, so you can roll them together. It's not bad, but in general, I'm hoping slash planning slash praying to get rid of them at some point, so that's not too bad. You're a ghost. Okay. So then you're of indeterminate age. Do you even remember how you died? Can you trust your memory of how you died? Because I feel even on a human lifespan scale, we supposedly forget things slash alter memories to a ridiculous degree. So do you think that continues into ghosthood, or does the lack of actual chemical processes in your brain change that, fix it in some way? One day we'll get to the bottom of this. The science isn't quite there yet. We're working on it though. We'll figure it out. Also, I've been paused for so long in this game that I had no idea what my plans for the future were. I talked to Colgate like I pretended I knew why I rolled away a duck, but speaking of memory fading, do I remember why I rolled away the duck? I think I know why I rolled away the duck, but who's to say? You worked with someone who believed the Earth was only 6,000 years old? Yeah, there's a decent number of people out there. I feel like there are people who just think that it's like 3,000, right? As well. Like that's a huge population within the kind of more extremist religious groups. Yeah, I don't know. I'm a pretty firm believer in science. I like to joke about believing everything I see on the internet and finding the facts for yourself. But at the end of the day, we build off the shoulders of giants. That's what it's all about. And it saves you a heck of a lot of time. Self-research, everything in the entire world, that's just sounds like a lot of work, you know? I'd rather just stick to the cool space stuff that I like, coding and programming, little bit of gamer knowledge thrown in there, and I'll leave all the heavy lifting to the rest of the world, and I can instead just reap all the benefits. I mean, that's the beautiful part about the internet, the proliferation of knowledge. I can just learn all of that stuff. That's pretty sick. You were killed by Jonathan Walter in the Civil War. Until now, you're Burt Lord now. What a life. What I wouldn't give to be a fly on that wall. Even on Meteorin lifespan, you forget things. Forgetting is fast. Forgetting is easy. And unless, of course, you're an elephant. Then, never. Never, never, never. Talk to a flat earther as you literally flew to Australia. It's like talking to a flat earther on the tip of a mountain when you can actively see the curvature of the earth. For anyone who hasn't seen Behind the Curve, I think it's called hold up. Behind the Curve. Is this the name? Fantastic little documentary on Netflix that I enjoyed a lot when it came out. That covers flat earthers. And it also talks with a lot of actual like physicists and astrophysicists and gets their opinion on the entire movement. It's sweet. Space stuff, am I familiar with the APOD? I 100% am. The astronomy picture of the day is fantastic. I haven't been checking it as much these days. When I was in the middle of my degree, I was definitely a bit more consistent with that kind of thing, but it's always just gorgeous and beautiful and, humbling in a lot of ways. I love space. I love the scale of it, even though it's completely well and truly beyond my the scope of a human imagination. It's cool to pretend that I know what's going on, nod my head and smile like the rest. You know what? We're doing something a little bit strange here. We're gonna pull one of these stunts, then a Krabby Boy. We're gonna see what happens. Space stuff is amazing, and yes, you haven't seen, or you have seen it all. You want us to leave the planet because all the people suck. I think that the vast majority of us can agree with you on that point for sure. You'd like it better if there were magic and psionics, but we are very boring. That's the dream, right? I mean, I remember sitting on a school bus as a child and looking out across, like we had the ice street glass that made all of the street lights give off rays of sunshines, and I like to think that I was a slider from, what is that movie called? Sliders? But anyway, I thought I could control electricity because I could see it. I could see the electricity flowing through me. And so I hoped and prayed that I would develop some kind of electromagnetic power. Even from a young age, I guess I was into physics, but alas, alack, here I am. Space is big. You just won't believe how vastly, hugely, mind-bogglingly big it is. I mean, you may think it's a long way down the road to the chemist, but that's peanuts to space. I love that. Are you just quoting yourself there, or I'm guessing that's a famous quote from somewhere along the line? That sounds like a Carlin quote, because that sounds like pale blue dot stuff going on. Oh, Doug Adams? Oh, of course. Of course. I should have guessed. Good old Douglas, or Doug as we affectionately know and love him. Oh, I need to actually finish the Hitchhiker's series at some point. I've only read the first 3 books, and I don't know why I didn't keep going. I adore them. You think that's the opening line to Hitchhikers? Yeah, it's been way too long for me. There's no shot that I could remember to any degree, but I guess, I missed my chance. I could have pretended to know it. That's the thing. I'm just a face on the internet. You know nothing about me. I could be a genius. I could be the smartest person on earth. I'm not. I'm only the second smartest, I'd say. But it's a close gap there. Up at the top. Again, no idea what's going on with the squad. I have 2 peacocks, a caterpillar. Apparently we're just going for beauty over any kind of use, function, or form over function, but by gosh, we'll look good doing it, baby. No, it wasn't the first line. You forget which bit it's from. You missed your opportunity, Dr. Pirate. You could have pretended to know what you were talking about. It's a tit for tat. Each of us pretending that we're self-actualized geniuses on our own end. And who's to say who's wrong or right? Even if someone in the audience pretends that they know that or know something, you can just call them an idiot because it's the internet, and that's what gets going. Even though from what I've seen of this community, I don't actually really expect that. The majority of you, if not all of you, are wonderful people who are just fantastic to hang out with and get along with, which makes my job super easy. I don't have to curate or nothing. The occasional spammer comes up, but besides that, I mostly just reaping the benefits of a bunch of lovely people spending their days with me. And that's pretty fantastic. So thank you to all of you for that. I really, well and truly appreciate it. Was that a car? It was, in fact, a bus. Yep. The deer, when it dies, spawns a bus, just like, you know, like in real life, just the way that God intended it in nature. Though you didn't need me to tell you that. We all know what happens when a deer dies in the woods. You can't hear it, it doesn't make a sound, and it generates a bus, of course. First line was trees have 7 leaves, 3 of them are my conscience. Or conscience? Yeah, conscience. I always mix up conscious and conscience in my head. Holdover from being a dum-dum, I guess, at the end of the day. But it do be what it do be at the end of the day. And that it does. Let's roll through here a little bit. I kind of want a puppy. It's late. It's very late. But they do say better late than never. I've heard this before. So, we sell an iguana, bring out a puppy. We still have the 2 gold to fund the puppy's bad habits. So let's do it, shall we? Or do you think it's the actual foreword of the guide itself? You don't think first line is always bring your towel? I don't think it's first line, but it's definitely pretty high up there on the echelon of important things to take from the book. That we all know to be true. Oh, and I lost. Would you look at that? Oh, what time is it? Okay, we can do like a quick run. I have to not spend an absolute eternity on each and every screen just getting derailed into tangent after tangent. Which, I mean, that's what I'm here for. That's literally, as I've mentioned a couple times over the course of this evening, that's just what I do. That's my thing. Tangents are my lifeblood, and I inject that stuff straight into the vein.